Hey there, I'm Nick Pachanka, the video content creator here at Trainual, and I'm joined with the CMO of Trainual, Jonathan Ronzio. How we doing?
Doing good. This is weird. It's like within the broadcast space, like I don't see where we are live. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the actual feeds that we're going live from, but no, good. Excited for this. Candidly, like we're just doing this very raw as a test of this platform, which for anybody who's curious, it's called StreamYard, where you can link all these different social platforms that you can simultaneously live stream from. We're testing this for potentially doing a live viewing party of our brand documentary, our film on business playbooks and why they are the thing that a business needs to succeed or fail. And that's going to be next Thursday, the 17th, I believe that is. So if you're interested in that, definitely let us know, and we'll invite you to the live viewing party. But here we are testing the platform, StreamYard, and we thought, what better way to test by not just giving I don't know, some bullshit, but like actually giving some value. And so often in a lot of different events I go to, and went back when we could go to events or just in conversations, a lot of people ask, like, they see Trainual's advertising, they see like what we're doing on Facebook or Instagram or wherever else, and they're like, who's doing your ads? And think we have some kind of agency that's churning this stuff out. And no, from the beginning, it's always been, it was my brother and I, and then it's like Nick has got, in the mix, and our team has grown, but we've kept it all in-house. And so while people are always interested in like what we're doing from an advertising standpoint, we thought that it would be fun to actually break down our ad process from ideation to execution, from the creative angle, really, of how we come up with some of these ideas. When you see an ad on an Instagram story or wherever else you might run into us, like what was that creative? What was the process of bringing it to life? So that's what we're here to talk about today. And Nick, right, you've got a series of different ads we've run over the last 2 years queued up that we're going to show and then break down, correct?
Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ads that we're going to play for you guys, kind of breaking down the process of how we came up with the idea, what made us to decide to go with it and run it, and kind of what it took to create the ad and breaking that all apart. So you want to kick it off with the first one?
Sure. Yeah. Let's bring it all the way back. This is one of the first things that we started running when we were testing Facebook and Instagram ads back in 2018. This was created in Boston, shot with my brother and I, which you'll see. But this is one of the first videos that really started gaining early traction on these channels for us. And let's check it out.
Could someone else step in and run your business?
God forbid something happens to you, but more likely you just want to get out of the day-to-day of your business. If you don't have your systems and processes documented in a way that allows somebody else to take the reins and run the show, then you need to get started today. Swipe up and learn more.
You want to know what my favorite thing about that one is?
What?
How simple it is. Like, literally anyone could have made that ad.
And that's the beauty of it. And that's what we've tried to carry through, like, in so much of the content we've done since, right? Like, from the beginning, some of the most successful content we've ever created and run has been simply those like raw, candid kind of videos that like have been just selfie stuff that I have filmed, or Chris and I have filmed, or he's done, just walking on the street together. And that was one of the ones that did really well. And something about, of course, the messaging resonated of like, could someone else run your business? It's like that old, like, what if you got hit by a bus? What would happen? Could somebody else run the role, right? So we leaned into that messaging, but I think what worked there, and that wasn't the final product that ended up running. Actually, the one difference in the final version was I took my phone. At the time, I was using a stabilizer. So I had my phone on like a little DJI stabilizer. Now the iPhones have like all built-in stabilization, but at the time, like, I had the stabilizer. We shot that, and then I took the video and actually went onto Instagram. I swiped over to like you would create a story, and I added that video, that like 14-second clip, as a story, and added the text, "Could somebody else run your business?" in the like typical Instagram story ad text, like looked the exact same. And then instead of like publishing as a story, I just downloaded that so that the text was imprinted onto the video. in the same way it would look on Instagram, and then airdropped that to my computer and then ran it as a IG and Facebook story ad. So that the whole thing here is that we didn't want to feel like a brand or a company or a product trying to sell you. We wanted you to be like flipping through your Instagram stories and randomly like you see us and you're like, who are these guys? Like, is this somebody that I follow? Like, did I forget that I followed them? Is this my friend? Like, that's what we wanted to feel like, is just natural. And I think that's one of the best ways that like companies can succeed today in the social environment, is to stand out by actually blending in. Like, your content will do better when you create it natively, contextually to what people expect to experience. And that's the friends they follow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it really does depend on your brand, but for us, it's worked really great just being real. You know, you see tons of just super polished cinematic stuff out there, and that works for a lot of people. But for us personally, like, we're just trying to be your friend. We're trying to be natural. We're trying to be real, and I think people really do like to see that. So I think that's why that ad worked for sure. It's simple, and also it's very short. That's one big thing, because I feel like people's attention spans are getting smaller and smaller. Data is just coming in faster and faster in your brain, and just the quicker you can get across the message, the better, for sure.
Right. And so also with that one, like Chris, he says like, could somebody else run your business? And then instantly I grab the phone. And so like, even if you're like, kind of flipping through your stories, that motion, that like change within the first couple seconds or the first second and a half of me grabbing the phone out of his hands and carrying the story, it holds your attention to like see the next thing. It's the same reason why like all these popular YouTube videos and vlogs have all these jump cuts, and oftentimes they like cut to a new sentence before even the other sentence ends. Like, you haven't even finished the word before the next cut comes in, because that's what you need to do to hold people's attention. And so it worked well for that reason, too. So that's something to consider with your story ads and with your YouTube videos.
For sure. The hook is very important. All right. Next ad, we have Garyvee. Here we go.
Literally every one of them is training through osmosis, which is taking time out of experienced workers to just teach the new kid what to do.
Documentation of what we do is absolutely critical.
I'm a very successful CEO, and take it from me,
we use Trainual for our training platform. Absolutely game changing.
If you're wanting to scale your business, Trainual is by far the best option.
I'll link that up below.
It's not about doing the work, it's about building repeatable systems so you can delegate the work as you grow.
What Trainual does is it makes it simple, it makes it easy to scale, and you can actually track the progress.
Always, every day, build the company as if you're going to have to sell it tomorrow.
Whew, that one's powerful. We were just talking about how important the hook is, and right from the get-go, you have Garyvee and just this epic bass drop that captures your attention right from the get-go. And that's what I love about this one.
Yeah, this one's funny. A lot of factors, like totally not planned, not storyboarded, not like there was no big strategy here. It was just Chris and I, my brother, our CEO, we were at an event, and our friend Jeremy Finlay, who at the time was the CMO of Wake Up Warrior, he had just created like a pack of scores, like musical scores, original composition for free use in advertising, and just gave it out to like the group of people that were at the event. And that night in the hotel is when we always try to act on ideas as fast as possible. And so that night, just literally at the hotel, just grabbed that one sample out of the pack and like listen to it. And it starts with that and then it just has that dramatic build. And so, it was the same summer that he and I had gone to New York and done the 40s workshop with Garyvee and the VaynerMedia team. And so we I grabbed the footage from, that was Chris. I was filming there. I was sitting next to him, but that was Chris sitting next to Gary talking about like why it's important for companies to have processes, to have good training so that you're not wasting manager time, whatever. So I grabbed like that initial hook from Gary, because obviously like Gary is known, he's influential. He's like, you're scrolling through your feed and that's the first thing you see, you might stop and check it out. So it's almost like borrowing the brand authority from Gary, which, we actually had the clip of us with him that we had like done as a strategy session, so we could use it. And then from there, it goes into Michael E. Gerber, who's, of course, like people in our space and our demo, they know him. He's the author of the E-Myth Revisited. And we've always known since the beginning, if you have read the E-Myth, you understand the need for Trainual. And now he's one of our advisors. We've built a partnership and a relationship with Michael. And so we had this clip from him in a webinar with Chris that then it went from like Gary to Michael. And so you're instantly like grabbing the audience off the credibility of these people that we've built partnerships with. And then from there, the music and the drama continues to build and just leans into like customer value statements and testimonials. And then it shows the product and the credibility of where it's been featured and more, reviews. And so that was like the DNA of that one, was to start with the hook from somebody that people already trust and then bridge it into third-party social proof and then end with the product and the call to action. It was not like, that's not a super high quality edited video, but it worked. It like the story works.
Yeah. And really, when it comes down to it, it isn't always about the quality. It's about the message you're trying to tell and who's saying it. This one for sure has to come down to the credibility of who is actually in the video. So whoever said that influencer marketing doesn't work, this is a prime example of it working and thriving.
So yeah, I mean, and these two first examples, like we ran this stuff, it was like early midsummer 2018 into like fall 2018, going into 2019, and those those periods of time, like the company was just growing so fast, and it was not attributed to like really polished production and really like strategic marketing. It was just a matter of like acting fast on ideas that we like intuitively felt would resonate with who we were trying to target. We were speaking to people like ourselves, right? Like Chris and I being entrepreneurs, and like him specifically being the systems process guy, we kind of always had the DNA of the person we wanted to speak to. And that made it a little easier to like pull this stuff together. But we didn't let like perfection impede our progress of just like trying something, filming something quick, a selfie, throwing it out there, like just testing. And these two examples worked really, really well, and were, I would attribute, from an advertising standpoint, two of the videos that were the backbone of our initial scale.
100%. Now, this next ad is an ad that didn't necessarily work. We here at Trainual, we are humans, and humans make mistakes, and not every single idea that we have is going to work. In this case, this is an idea that I came up with, and it didn't really resonate with the audience. We could tell that right away very quickly, and I'm just going to play that for you right now, see what you think, and then we can get into it.
Most business ads are going to sell you a fake lifestyle of supercars and fancy mansions. Not me. Real entrepreneurship is about building a scalable business and getting the tools in your life so that you can win back time. And to do that, you need to learn to delegate what you're doing today and rise above the day-to-day in the business so you can focus on growth. Whether it's just you or you're building a big team, empowering your people to do something different tomorrow than what they do today is what it's all about. That's how companies grow. And if you want to learn to document what you do, check it out at Trainual.com. Maybe someday you'll have the time and the money for a place like this.
So right from the get-go, this was completely screwed up, because the whole idea of it was to make fun of the entrepreneur in front of the fancy house, in front of the fancy car, but at the same time, it was an entrepreneur in front of the fancy house and the fancy car. So it's literally exactly what it's making fun of, and that's what people hated about it. Right from the get-go, the comments were like, oh, great, another ad with an entrepreneur in front of a mansion. Even though that the messaging was trying to make fun of that, totally failed.
Well, I mean, because it wasn't Chris's mansion. This came about why? Because you're like your cousin or something?
Yeah, I have a relative that manages these properties, and he was working on it at the time. So I'm like, hey, we'll run up there, check out the property real quick, and at the same time, we can shoot a quick little ad, right? It did not work out.
So yeah, I remember you like coming to me with this idea that you were like, I've got this opportunity to get up for this mansion. I've got this idea. I was like, yeah, go do it. Why not? Go get some footage. Let's see what you can do. And so, this is just a good example that like not every idea works, not every idea resonates, but like you got to try it. And for this one, it wasn't a bad idea. It's like, yeah, we've all seen those like Lopez things where he's like sitting in a garage in front of a Lamborghini or whatever. We've seen a million other Instagram and Facebook ads of like random people in front of nice houses trying to sell you their ebook and their coaching thing. And so I get what you were trying to make fun of there, or like, break down in terms of like the reality of, and that was Chris's narrative. But like in a quick scroll, people didn't give it the time of day. They didn't get to the point where Chris is like saying like, nah, that's like not real. And people are, again, back to the attention span. Attention span is low, and they didn't give it the chance to get there before tearing it down.
Yep. But I mean, that really does come down to trying new things. Like you got to be able to see what works and what doesn't, so that way you can be consistently improving. And like that's such an important thing to be able to do with any form of creation or process, is just to try, because like you never know what will really work and what really doesn't. All right, you ready to go on the next one, Jonathan?
Yeah, let's leave the mansion behind.
Was that good? Yeah, that was great. Was that better? Was it better? You're so funny.
Quality. That was the best quality video I've ever seen.
I love that one. I mean, so that's legitimately like a home video from Chris and I. Like the kid that walks over in the shorts that's saying like, Christopher, kick your feet up, like keep them together. Like that's me. And he's obviously diving. And this was in summer vacation 2000 in Kiowa Island. So this was last Christmas. So Christmas like 2019, I guess. And I don't know, it was just the holidays, and like I was sitting on the couch with my wife and my mom, and we were there's a service called iMemories that will digitize all of your old home videos and stuff. And so we had years ago taken all of those old like Super 8 tapes and old like camcorder tapes and sent them to iMemories, and they digitized it and cataloged it. And so now we've got this like online database of all of our childhood videos, and we were just going through it, watching, like laughing on the holidays, and I saw this video of like Chris just being horrible at diving, and just thought it would be a funny series to like, and this was the first of a few that we did. We did one with him skiing. It became like a how do we make fun of my brother ad series in a way, but it was just a fun way to like have that message be like, yeah, Trainual is not going to help you dive better. Trainual won't help you ski better, but like, the message being like with training is better. And there was something like beautiful about just the home video, the look, the feel, like the date there on the corner that resonated with people, and that was nostalgic and that people loved. And it was like this, like, people were like ripping him for his dive, but also curious in the product. And the like signups off of that were fantastic. And so I don't think that's the last time you'll see a home video ad series from Trainual, but that was a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, and it really goes to show that like you don't really have to have like this crazy elaborate idea. Like just take some old clip from whatever, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because in being so, it's just so much more real, and people tend to gravitate towards things that are real. You may be seeing a consistent theme coming along here with all of these ads. It's simple and real. Don't mess around with anything like super complex, or you don't need to hire an entire film production shoot, to be able to go and do something like this. Like you don't need much. It doesn't take much at all.
Yeah, that it was literally just like recorded 15 seconds of this home video, screen recording. It was a screen recording on my desktop, 15 seconds, threw it into like Adobe Premiere, added the little like with training is better thing at the end, and then ran that. And that was just like at that time too, we had asked all of our employees to like submit childhood photos, so that like the team page on the site, if you scrolled over somebody, it flipped to a childhood photo. Right now, they're all like our Zoom screenshots. Since we went remote, we changed it to that. But I remember Sasha, our head of people, had sent in this like childhood photo. She must have been 11 years old, and she was like on a bike, like, I don't know, learning to ride without training wheels for the first time or something. She's got her helmet on. It's this like fuzzy kind of old desaturated, like blurry photo, but she's there on the bike, feet out, like with the most enthusiastic smile on her face that you've ever seen. And we ran that as an ad, like on Reddit and a few other places that was just like, I think it was titled like onboarding with Trainual. Or when onboarding is amazing or something like that. And that worked incredible as well. So it was like a fun period where we were just like playing with all this like nostalgic content that we as a team had and finding a way to tie the emotion of it into our product message. And that was cool.
Yeah, it's just really just showing that feeling of what you're trying to portray. And if you can get others to feel the same, hopefully they're going to be on board. All right, so this next one, it's called the Lego ad. I kind of want you, Jonathan, to lead us into the idea of this before we show it right away. So where did the idea of this next ad come from, and how did it lead up to a creation of a video?
Sure. All right, so Trainual it's like, you know, there's a reason we smushed the words training and manual together, because that's what it is. And it's like, it's your manual, it's your instructions for your business and your roles and how you do things. And so as you know, we sponsored an event in Bali, summer 2019 called Running Remote. I went out there and spoke, and we had a booth. And what we did with the booth was I had this idea of like, how do we make it easy for people to understand the concept that Trainual is the thing that makes it easy to do business, to like train your roles and get people up to speed. And like, so we took 2 Lego sets. One, it was like a VFW bus or something like that. So we had this like Lego bus and another Lego bus, and put them both on the table, like in pieces, all scattered. And one person had the like what comes in the box as like the step-by-step instructions, the manual, and the other person just had the box. So all they could do is like look at the picture, the finished product, and just like take this like pile of Legos and just figure like, how do I put them together to make that? And the other person could follow step by step, page by page, putting together the pieces as needed to make it. Obviously, you know, one went better than the other, and the booth activation was great. Like it was such a conversation starter. People would walk by, they'd see us just playing with Legos, they'd come up and like want to help or want to play themselves and ask like, what are you doing with all these Legos? And it gave us a perfect entry point to explaining with or without instructions and why it's easier. And the with instructions created this like beautiful VW bus, and the other one was just like a mess of nothingness, which I know like the Lego movie talks about like everybody being the special and building without instructions and being super creative and all that. But like, if you're trying to build the thing that you bought on the box, it's just not going to happen unless you go step by step, because you don't know the inner workings of how things connect. And that's the message of extending it into the business. So then I gave you that idea and said, Nick, bring this to life in a video. It worked really well at the event. I want to see you do a with and without instructions Lego video to like script out this narrative and this message.
And once you handed off that idea to me, I was like, oh, I'm going to apply some video making skills here and duplicate myself. So I'm going to play it for you right here, and we're going to talk about it after that. Have you ever tried to build Legos without instructions? It's hard, maybe impossible. The manual gives clear instructions, page by page, for what piece goes where, shows you how they connect, and you pretty much can't mess up. You'll eventually build the toy the right way, without a whole bunch of headaches. But try building without the book. Can you go from a mess of tiny toy destroyers to a finished model just by looking at a picture of the end result? Most likely not. It's simple. Whether you're building a toy airplane or a business, it's easier with a training manual. So give your team the step-by-step instructions for their role and your business with Trainual. So right from the get-go, this one was cool because you have a person duplicated. So that's going to catch people's attention right out of the gates. But the reason why I chose to actually go with this is because it works. It tells the story even more than just doing a split screen like you're seeing right now. And it's just a cool effect. It really captivates people. But in addition to that, you may start to notice there's always showing the product. And pretty much every one of our ads is showing what we're trying to show off. I think it's really easy to like kind of skip past that. But I think just giving people a little bit of a taste as to what they could be buying into is also very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the advertising methodology, right, that we're taking to how we present a lot of these videos is like, whether it's 15 seconds or a minute and a half, I want you to understand, one, the pain, like, are we speaking to the pain point that resonates with you? Are we sparking your interest, and is it entertaining or educating? And within there, I want to get you to a point of interest or intrigue. And like one, this was fun, or like it seems valuable, or like it seems like the right tool. I don't know. There's just a point from like getting you from like identifying with the pain or finding intrigue in the problem, and then seeing that there's a solution. And you can walk that story arc. You can narrate, map that out in a very quick or a very long way. And a lot of people run whole like ad funnels of like, they target up here and then they retarget here, and then they, and you got to like add your email, and then you go into a sequence and whatever. Never really had that philosophy. I just want you to like have fun when you interact with the Trainual brand and understand what we do. And that's what we try to bring to every video is like identify with the brand, like make you feel something, and at the same time, like understand what we're about. And like, you'll never find gated content on our site. And like, we're not going into any kind of like crazy funnel. It's just like, engage, check it out. If it's for you, cool.
Exactly. And, I think a really cool way to connect with the audience is using people and or actors that are famous, people that they love to watch. And one of our more popular ads that we have run recently is with the cast of The Office. You want to kind of build us into that a little bit before we show it?
Yeah, I guess I'll mention where this came about. Well, since the beginning of launching Trainual, we had like the Trainual demo, or some initial like product mock screens had shown like Michael at Dunder Mifflin as like a email placeholder, and we've kind of always like leaned into some of the Office, paying homage to The Office in some of our like initial product marketing that we did from the start is just like mock-ups. And our like early customers always thought it was fun. And we, of course, like as a team, majority of us, if not all of us, love The Office. And it's just a culturally resonant show, right? And seems to also, I mean, this totally unintentionally, but personify like a business that needs Trainual, like something that is like stuck in the past a little bit in their business processes and how they do business. There's even, I think, a whole episode of like Ryan coming from corporate and like doing the whole like the Dwight versus the machine, and like Dwight and Michael going to try and sell businesses the old way with gift baskets, and like, so they're just, Dunder Mifflin has historically been a business that's resisted like modernization. So it was always fun with how we played with that too. But Chris and I were actually, Trainual was exhibiting at TechCrunch Disrupt in 2019 out in San Francisco, and we had seen a banner there with Leslie David Baker, who plays Stanley, and initially thought like, oh, cool, like let's see if we can reach out to Stanley and get him to do something. So we shot him a message. His email was just available, so we emailed him, ended up talking to his manager, and then ended up doing getting a video from Stanley where I just like quickly crafted some lines. And while Nick set this up as like working with celebrities, like this is not a professionally published thing at all. Like we did not send a crew, we did not do a whole shoot. We literally just, I wrote some lines that I felt worked well with like, our product and him saying it and how it would work from like, paying homage to his character. And he just shot it with like his phone or something. It's like not great quality, but he sent it to us. And then from there, we got connected with Brian Baumgartner, who plays Kevin, and got like I wrote some lines and he sent back a video. And then again, Kate Flannery, who plays Meredith. And so then Nick, you had the like these 3, I don't know, 30-second or 45-second videos of them just like saying to their phone these lines that I had written for them that you then squeezed together into like one cohesive narrative that crushed.
Yeah. Let's play it real quick and then we can dive deeper.
Office policies and training manuals exist because of me.
So, you're thinking about training some new employees. And if you were a boss and you had to deal with employees like me, well, you probably get tired of having to repeat yourself over and over.
And you could do like everybody else and use a standard training manual, and people are going to still ask you the same questions over and over again.
Before Trainual, I made some bad calls on what's okay to do at office parties.
I never read the employee handbook.
People are trained easier, faster, and they retain it better. So use Trainual.
Trainual makes everything easy to find and understand.
It's easy. It's simple. And I love simple.
So use Trainual. You won't be sorry.
Your business probably needs it, thanks to employees like me.
I crack up every single time I'm watching that. And I have seen it probably 1,000 times because I was the one that put that all together and editing it. And it's just something about seeing, you know, some of my favorite Office characters all in one place talking about one thing. And it seems like a cohesive story is just so cool to me. But like, not even like, it's the fact that they're talking about our brand, which is so cool. You know?
It's surreal. The last time I checked the stats on that, it had like nearly 9 million views on Facebook alone, with like almost 40,000 like engagements, like likes and laughs and loves and all that, and like almost 7,000 shares. So the conversational virality of that was wild from a brand building perspective, and you know, and does create a retargeting audience. You know, I did talk about the fact that like we don't build a crazy funnel or anything, but at the same time, like, of course, like if you've watched a percentage of that video, you go into another audience that sees some other videos, whether it's with the Office characters or more about us, like we do that. And so the value there and the signups from it have been incredible. And of course, not everybody that like likes the Office and would find that funny and shares it even cares about Trainual or wants Trainual or needs it. But the amount of shares and tags and conversation it created is a huge win nonetheless, even though the metrics on signups alone have been the huge win. So that one did amazing. And a lot of I think a lot of comments, some people who are familiar with the service Cameo would comment and be like, hey, is this a Cameo? None of them were. We worked direct with the actors. So on Cameo, you can't do commercial projects, or some I think are allowing commercial use now. But when we got that, it was like, you couldn't do commercial cameos, and Cameo has to have their logo on it. And so we went direct to the source and created that. And so I think, you know, there's a few lessons here if we're going to like recap, but one of them is we're still a small startup brand. We're gaining in momentum and like visibility and awareness. But by doing things like this, like we did with some of these, you know, Office characters and with Garyvee and with Michael Gerber, like we were able to further boost the credibility of our brand and the virality of the brand simply by the strategic choices we made of who to align with that felt culturally relevant and on point with our target audience, right? And if I'm thinking about like who's our target audience, it's people that like might follow Garyvee or might have read the E-Myth or might watch The Office, and probably between 25 and 50, and are business owners or leaders or managers. And, you know, we really like more than just digging into like typical customer demographic persona metrics. Like we dig into the pop culture side of the consumer persona. And that's where I have a lot of fun, is like figuring out how to thread the needle between like what people are already engaging with on social and on Hulu and Netflix and wherever else they're like finding entertainment and disconnecting from work. How can you not interrupt that, but align with that? and yet infuse your own message.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like so much of American culture alone is pop culture. So it's such an important thing to be tailored towards. And like, I can even tell you how many business people that I've just talked to locally here, they're like, oh, you work for Trainual? I've seen your ad before. Which one? Most of the time it's the Office ad. Because, you know, although it has gotten 9 million views, that hasn't all been just from paid acquisition. You got to understand, like, people are sharing this, as Jonathan mentioned. I don't know the exact percentage or whatever it was, but like a large portion of that viewership was from people sharing it, not just from us paying to get in front of people's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So just having something that people want to share and enjoy to watch is a 10x multiplier on top of anything you could ever do. So, I mean, to kind of like wrap up some of the tips that I've taken away from this conversation, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. You know, just be sure it's very clear, no crazy messaging, and be sure you're keeping it real because people connect with reality.
Yeah, I mean, real being contextual to the platform you're running the video on. Like, where are people engaging with this content? Like, what do you want them to do? You don't want them to feel, again, like you're interrupting their experience where they are with whatever they're trying to do. Like, you want them to naturally engage the same way they would with whatever else is in their feed. So that's something to be mindful to. But I think from like a, you know, throwing it back up to the title that you put in here, Nick, is like this ideation to creation, right? Ideation is something that's like so core to Trainual. I think, like, you know, making ideas happen is a core value of ours. It's been a core value of mine my whole life, like acting on ideas immediately, obsessively, almost compulsively. Like, Nick, how many times do I, like, just in a random one-on-one or a Zoom call with you, I just like a spark hits and we just like jot it down. It's like, cool, do it next week, right? Let's make this happen. I'll write a script. Let's figure it out. And that's, I think, what I want like people to start to embrace a little bit more, is like just the same way that you might riff on like a fun thing to do with friends when you're like hanging out at a barbecue and you're like going back and forth, like joking, like adding on to each other's like story in a fun way. Like, do that and act on that, because that's where our ads come out of. It's like, it's not like a chore to sit down and script and storyboard and figure out like what's the right strategy for the right time, for the right campaign, for whatever. It's no, just like what feels fun to create for our audience, for our brand, and we just like riff on it and create it and see what works in a speedily fashion, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, by definition, these ideas are tangents in our conversations. Like, we go off with like crazy different tangents and everything, but like at its core, like that is creativity. Like, it's just your brain's natural way of flowing. So if I was to conclude kind of what we're saying here, it's to, you know, take these tangents so far that you execute on them. Don't just ideate. You got to be sure that you're obsessive about these tangents so much to the point that they become a final product. And at the end of the day, you know, being able to try these final products is how you're going to be able to see what works and what doesn't work for your brand and your message.
Right. All right. So I think we've sufficiently tested this platform and can say that this is probably going to work for our live streaming of the Playbook documentary, right? So for anybody that is watching, that is cares to tune in with us and watch live with us and our team, and you know, kind of engage and ask questions or whatever, we will be putting on a film next Thursday, the 17th. And if you're interested, just go to trainual.com/playbookmovie, or just comment here and we'll let you know what's up. We'll invite you, but it'll be fun. It'll be casual again, like this, and hope to see you there. But also hope that this was entertaining, educational, that you got some kind of takeaway at the very least, or that you just had fun watching Nick and I riff on this stuff. So
I really had a good time talking about all this. You know, it's just fun kind of sharing how you go about your process, you know.
Cool. Well, thanks for setting this up, Nick. And until next time, we should probably do more of these.
For sure. Alrighty, guys. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Thanks for sticking around to the end. We'll catch you in the next one.